Welcome back, sparkling community, to another episode of Ignite Your Spark. I'm your host, Kim Duff Selby. Thank you for joining me, whether this is your first time or you have been listening for all 4 seasons, coming up on my 5th season next month. I appreciate you. I also hope that you have been inspired to step out of your comfort zone and live a more joy-filled life. I really hope you are learning something because that is my goal. I love to learn myself, and I love all the people who are sharing their light in the world, who are surrounded by light, who are opening others up to the light. And my guest today is no exception to that. Her name is Jocelyn Sandstrom. And Jocelyn is coming to us from Hawaii. She is an actual Hawaiian, born in Hawaii, but has lived many, many other places. And we will talk about that. And I just want to read her mission. I'll let her speak too. But when I read this, it was like, oh, yes, this is a hell yes, she's coming on my podcast. My mission is, this is Jocelyn speaking, to make a huge positive impact on the world by supporting people to transcend fear, doubt, worry, and limitations, helping them break out of the box to live their most aligned, magnetic, and authentic truth and bring their unique magic to the world. Oh my gosh, Jocelyn, what a beautiful, beautiful mission that you have chosen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm thrilled. I also want to tell people all of your different certifications because some I have not heard of. The Millennium Method, I've not heard of the Millennium Method. You are a practitioner and teacher of that. And I don't know how to pronounce YUEN method.
Yin method.
Yun method, never heard of that. Reiki, I know. NLP, I know. Neurological repatterning practitioner, I assume that's different than NLP, but
Similar. Very
similar.
similar.
And then the certified Ericksonian hypnosis practitioner and teacher, and a performance coach. Well, I've heard of the Ericksonian method, or however you call it, but some of these I haven't heard. But I just like read everything, and you're so glowy. I was like, yes, please be on Ignite Your Spark. Let's get those sparks going. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love your podcast and all that you're doing in bringing this most incredible messages to the world. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we get into your story and all of these different things that you do, and I love this wellness and metaphysical events that you put on. Oh my gosh, we'll get into that. But Jocelyn, how do you ignite your spark?
Um, just by tuning into my inner soul knowing, and every single day tuning into that, tuning into our visions and our dreams are our inspiration. To me, our visions and our dreams is our soul showing us what it came here to experience, what it came here. It's like showing us future echoes of what's coming if we show up every single day and take aligned action. And in quantum physics, past, present, future is in the now. So to me, it's a future echo. So I just ignite my spark. I ignite my vision every single day. I tune into my soul and then I live it. I live it with every single day, more and more unapologetically, more and more my truth, more and more being in the moment with my son, with my husband, making every single day magical with my family, with my friends, because we get to live this life, and we forget sometimes that we get to live this life, and we get to evolve, we get to grow for our entire lifetime. Not just, go to school, get a job, and then that's it for the rest of your life. It's an evolution over our entire lifetime. So how do we fall in love with our life, and how do we be so deeply grateful for the life that we've already manifested while manifesting more and bringing our bigger vision and our soul's purpose into this world? So I just love the beautiful, magical life. And I'm not saying that it's beautiful all the time. There's also beauty in the shadow. There's beauty in the transition. It might be uncomfortable, but when you know that you're going through that transition because you're about to break through to another level that you never knew existed, there's beauty in that.
Oh, I love it. But it's in the knowing and acknowledging that you are in the depths of darkness, or not darkness, but confusion or something. And I feel like I'm right there right now, but you have to be aware of that so that you can realize there is something better. This or something better out there for you.
Yes.
Have you always had this belief system, this knowledge? I know the training, obviously, you weren't born with this training, but have you always had sort of a knowing, or what prompted you to get into this beautiful way of being in the world?
So I had a little bit of it growing up, very little. I went through a lot through, bullying and everything, but my grandma and my mom, they used to go to some workshops when I was younger, so I'd be sitting in the back of the room. So I had a knowing that there was something more, but I didn't know it in my soul. I had disconnected from my soul for so long, not disconnected, but I wasn't listening to its truth because from being bullied from childhood, I thought there was something inherently wrong with me, that I didn't belong, and that there was just something wrong with me. And so it's something that I developed over my life through all the trainings, through all of the traumas, the crises. Those were my greatest teachers. They brought the biggest breakthroughs. They brought this superpower, this resilience, this master alchemy out of me. And it's something that I just continue to cultivate. And each month, each week, each day, it gets stronger and stronger because I love playing with this idea now. I'm cultivating the knowing from my soul to be louder than the conditioned mind. And when you get to live through that knowing, life is magical. It's the conditioned mind that takes us out of the game, that creates the wobble, that makes it uncomfortable. But exactly, like everything is happening for us, not to us. That's one of the mantras that I used through the 6 years of darkness, of shadow work, of going diving deep and healing so much trauma and so much wounds to come out the other side stronger than ever.
It's interesting because I'm looking at you and I mean, first of all, you're gorgeous. I mean, you're stunning. You're so well spoken. And I think to myself, this person was bullied. I mean, I don't think there's a person on earth who wasn't bullied in some way. I mean, there were the bullies, but maybe they were bullied and that's why they became bullies. I mean,
Yes.
it's we are all informed by trauma. And of course, it starts when we are young, or I believe it could be past life, or it could be coming out of the birth canal, whatever it is. I was adopted. So, and I didn't know it until I was 22 and my
Wow.
mom died. And I know I have trauma around that, but I haven't really worked through it. I am aware of it,
Mhm.
and yet I don't sit in darkness or sit in shadows, and I'm not sure that's a good thing. I tend to gloss over a lot of things, but more and more recently, I'm becoming more aware. And I think awareness is half the battle, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Awareness definitely is. And you'll when it comes up into your life, when there's triggers there, where there's something there, that's when you get to lean into it and you get to say, okay, this trigger's here and I've lived with it my whole life, but now I decide I don't want to. But there's so many layers to this as well too, that sometimes we don't always have to figure it out. We just get to say, okay, this is happening. So now what am I going to do with this? Now, how do I use this to up level? What is the universe asking of me for this next level so that we can be toward motivated? Because otherwise we could sit around healing ourselves our whole entire life thinking that we're broken or there's something wrong with us, but really there's nothing wrong with us. I truly believe we are all exactly where we're meant to be, in the exact moment that we're meant to be. We're all on this journey. I used to think there was like this finish line and we have to get to this one place.
Mhm.
And once you do all these things and everything's going to be, beautiful and fairies and all of this stuff. But how bored would we be if that really was the case? And so to me, it's just like our souls came here to experience. It's why I want to watch a sad movie one day, or why I used to love horror movies or scary movies when I was an intermediate, because I loved to feel the feelings. And so what if our soul just loves to feel the feelings? And so there's nothing wrong with us at any point. What if it came here to choose the things that we came into, so that we could transmute them, so that we could experience the duality of them with no other purpose other than to just purely experience. So then you get to lean into every single experience and you don't have to ask anymore, what's wrong with me? Why isn't this working? What am I doing wrong? Now it just becomes, okay, this is happening. So what's being called out of me? Now what do I get to do? Now what do I get to transmute? And so it's not like we have to go in and analyze ourselves anymore, you know?
I do. And that actually gives me grace. And I appreciate that. And I've been hearing your words in sort of different forms through a variety of people, different podcasts I listen to myself and my own guests. And it really rings true. I have also interviewed people who are trauma release practitioners. And some of them really feel like you've got to go into a dark room and release that trauma and through a variety of exercises. And that's just not how I choose to do it. I think I'm more, and most people probably are, of the ilk that, oh, this, and once you explore and figure out why you have certain abandonment issues, which would be me, and just recognize, not that there's much I can do about it other than say, oh, yeah, right. Let's transmute that into not having those. But it is interesting. And someone else I just was speaking to, we were talking about fear, and you mentioned that as you help people transcend fear. Do you find that that is one of the biggest, I don't know what you call fear, emotion or something that I think everybody has? And I'm going to say that it comes from our ancestors as well as today and the paradigms we've been taught. But you know, that amygdala, we have that fear, that fight or flight in us. But do you find that fear is one of the biggest things that people have, or thing? I don't know, what do you call fear?
Well, I do think fear is the biggest illusion that we all
Illusion.
have because it's just an illusion. It's something that our conditioned mind and our ego creates. I also do know that all of us are different. How you were saying about the trauma coaches, there are a huge need for that because there are people that are really like in that trauma. And so it depends on where you are in life. If you are in that trauma and that trauma is affecting your everyday reality, that's what they're there for, to help you to come and to get to a place that you can then transmute it on your own. But then there's, your different parts of your life, then it's like, okay, I don't think we need to go. We get to transmute what we have and we get to keep being forward toward growth. And then a lot of times that will take care of some of the things from the past. So it depends on where we are in our life, I think, which is so important. And that's why there's so many different modalities out there, because each and every one of us are at different points in our life as well, too, right? And so we get to say, this one resonates with me and this one resonates with me, but it might not resonate with other people. So that's why I love like us all coming together to create this collective shift. And then also the fear, it's been there, it's in the collective. It's, before it started with fear around food and starvation, and then it morphed into fear around money, and then there's fear around abandonment, there's fear around rejection. But all of that is an illusion. If you think about your soul, I do a lot of soul work, and so we might get a little bit deep here,
Good.
but if you think about your soul is infinite. Your soul is same. All our souls, I truly believe, are same power but different, because all our souls are one of the same. I had a vision when I was doing a yoga nidra one day of like all of us floating around this one big being, and we're in, like how we're inside of this being, and so we're all one of the whole, and so we're all source because we're all connected, we're one of the same. So how could we ever think that we're not worthy and deserving? How could we ever think that we have anything to fear? How could we ever think anything? Because we are infinite power, we're infinite knowledge, we're infinite potentiality, we're infinite magic. As long as we tap into our soul knowing and we tap into source, which is inside of us. It's not outside of us. It's always been within us. I take my clients through activations to tap into their inner knowing and to the divinity within them, so that they can access that at any single point of the day. When the conditioned mind starts to take over with the fear, with the doubt, with the abandonment, they get to drop right back down into the inner knowing, into that power. Once it's activated, then you just cultivate that relationship every single day, and you make your soul knowing louder than your conditioned mind. So I was running a master class once, and my soul told me to, and you can call it soul, intuition, gut, whatever it is you want to call it. And it told me that to do a master class in person, even though most of my network is online. And so I didn't know who was going to show up, right? But I did it anyways because I had this knowing that I wanted to do it in person. I wanted to connect with people. I wanted to feel their energy. I wanted to hug them. I wanted to be in their presence. And so I did it, and I launched it, and only one person signed up. And I was like, oh, great. So now what? Do I cancel it? Do I postpone it? Did I get it wrong? And my soul just kept saying, no, now you get to play. Now you get to play with your messaging. Now you get to go live. You get to do posts. You get to tweak your messaging so that you could even get clearer on your messaging. You get to play with it. You get to hold the void till the very end so that the magic and miracles can drop in, because most people quit before the void. I mean, before the end, right? They just go, and then they start to get afraid that their ego is going to look like a failure, or that people are going to judge them because no one's going to show up. And so then they give up and they take themselves out of the game. So I used this week not only to practice my messaging, but I used it to hold the void. I used it to override my conditioned mind and the fear. Through that process, it was the most beautiful release ever, because as I was getting closer to the date, and still there was, someone would sign up and then they'd cancel. And the day of, there was still maybe only two, maybe three people that were meant to show up. And the day of, I asked my soul, and my soul let me know that the only part of me, when I was doing a reprogramming process on myself, the only part of me that was afraid was the ego. The ego was the only part of that was afraid, that was going to feel like I was going to look like a failure. I was going to feel like a failure, that I wouldn't be able to hold the disappointment. And I realized I'm so much bigger than my ego. I'm my infinite soul. I'm my infinite power. My soul is not going to be affected by this, but my ego will. So I get to override it and say, that's not mine. It might be uncomfortable, but I'm going to get through it, because pain is temporary, but suffering is created by ourselves.
Mhm.
So I let it go, because I knew my soul was here on a mission. I tuned into what my vision was, and what I'm meant to, what I desire to bring into this reality. And so that overrode whatever it looked like I would look like. And so I showed up. No one was there at first, 5 o'clock, nobody there. It turns out there was traffic, but it didn't matter to me, because to me, even if no one showed up, it would be a huge win, because I showed up in my power, because I knew that something magical was going to happen from this. I didn't need to know what it was. I just needed to trust in my soul, because I've been doing that, and something always did show up. And then completely out of the blue, everybody started showing up. And then we had all these people showing up, and it was the most powerful masterclass that I've ever taught. So how often do we let our fear and the illusion of what we care about what people are going to think, that we're not good enough? If we tap into the knowing from our soul, we don't have to prove to anybody that we're good enough. We just get to go and experience it and see what's going to unfold, and then continue to transmute it as we go. It gets to be easy, or we get to transmute it, but either way, we're all in, and we're not doing it out of fight or flight. We're not doing it out of proving, pleasing, achieving. We're doing it because we get to play. We get to do this. We get to discover. We get to see, okay, well, what's going to happen? And we get to be stronger, because if no one showed up, I would be so strong. Because there was a story about Anthony Robbins that when he first started teaching his master classes, or his 4-day program, he sold his first one and no one showed up.
Mm.
And so he hired his friends by paying them with pizza and soda, and said, if you sit here for 4 days, I'll pay you for pizza and soda to listen to me teach. And now look at what his programs are. It's holding the void. Is your knowing stronger than the fears from your conditioned mind? Is your knowing stronger, knowing that everything is happening for you, not to you? So there's no such thing as abandonment. There's no such thing as rejection, because that's the universe just showing you what's no longer an energetic match to pull in the next thing. And if you can live in that knowing, you can override the illusion of the fear.
Wow. That is so amazing. I love how I'm just sort of mesmerized watching you speak and listening, taking in your words. When you work with people, you work with individuals and groups as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you utilize all of the different modalities that you have learned, sort of putting them all together. You don't choose one here, it just sort of all comes forth.
Yes, exactly. So it's just like whatever that person needs, or whatever that group needs. I also open a channel. So it's just claiming that I know every single one of us was born to bring whatever magic they desired to this world. And so all it is us claiming that and speaking it unapologetically. And together, each and every single one of us is how we create the collective shift. It's how we evolve. Each generation evolves the next. And it's because of the people that are brave enough to claim bringing their magic into the world to evolve it. But we were all born here to be able to do it. So we just get to claim it. And then we just get to create the support system around us to, when you have a team of, when you have a community that's all playing in infinite potentiality and they're all taking leaps and we're all speaking the same language, how can you not be lit up by that every single day? If you're having a tough day, you just plug into one of my webinars and it just pulls you right out into the morphic field that I've created of magic, miracles, and exponential wealth and infinite potentiality. And so you just get to keep moving and you get to compound. So it just gets to be a lot easier.
Well, we just need to reach all the people who don't know they need to know, because there are people out there still in the in-between stage of finding their light and knowing they need to find their light, right? And obviously it's work. We're waking up now. More and more people are waking up, and people such as yourself are guiding. But it's a matter of reaching those, as I said, who don't know they need to do that.
Well, sometimes though, I truly believe all of us have different journeys, right? And
Yeah.
so when we can look at everybody and we can see that they're exactly also where they are meant to be and they chose their journey, it just might look different than ours. And so we resonate very well and we can talk for hours because our souls are on the same journey.
Right.
But not everybody's on that same journey. And there's this movement where they say there's a minimum of 144,000 souls that activate to be able to create the tipping point for the collective shift.
Uh-huh.
So not everybody needs to be part of this movement. Some of them chose a different journey and I don't know what their journey is. They're exactly where they're meant to be on their journey. It's just that our souls came here to bring this message, and once we create the tipping point, then that creates a tipping point of a collective shift that just naturally happens. And so I think the more we just speak our truth into the world and trust that it's going to the people that it needs to go to, that's the difference that we make in the world. And then we don't even have to worry about it because that's not us doing it. It's the universe, God, divine, Mother Nature doing it. We are just doing our part in it. And then they get to drop in the magic, miracles, and whatever is meant to come in. Because if you think about all the most incredible things that happen in your life, we didn't make it happen. We were in alignment, we were following our truth, and then boom, the universe drops in this incredible person or opportunity. And so it's a co-creation between us and the universe. And so when we can realize it's so much bigger than us, it's not just our souls, it's so many other souls that are in this together. And we just do our part of taking aligned action every single day and living a life that sets our soul on fire and living our most authentic truth. Then the universe brings us the resources, it brings us the audience, it brings us whatever it is that we desire to then help us to become the person to bring our vision into this reality.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. Thank you. A couple of other things. When there are people who are interested in, pursuing their passion and feel like they're stuck, I know many people like this, especially in midlife and beyond, people feel like, well, I don't know. What am I going to do now? I mean, I know there's something more for me. What would you say to those kind of people? How would you help them? Give a little example of how you might work with someone who says, well, I know I have stuff to give, but I'm not sure in quite what way. I mean, that used to be me. And then I just sort of followed this path of, oh, well, I think I'll do this and this and this and this and just do it. But
What you
not,
just said right there,
yeah.
you followed the breadcrumbs, you
Yeah.
followed your soul's intuition and the gut hit. and you followed it every single day and it led to this. That's all we do, is we follow the breadcrumbs. We don't have to figure out what that next thing is. We get to tune into our soul and we get to see the big visions that inspire us to get out of bed, to do the hard stuff, to do the uncomfortable stuff, right? But then every single day we follow the breadcrumbs. And so I have a free soul evolution process that I give to everybody, because if you do this soul evolution process every single day, you cultivate the relationship with your soul. The hardest part is getting out of the external world, because we've been so conditioned to what success looks like, how we should be doing things, external validation, fitting into the box, all of these things, like be feeling successful towards them. Once you can get rid of that and you can give yourself permission to say, this is my life. I'm not a child anymore. I'm not a child running around looking for validation, looking to see if I'm doing it right. Am I on the right path? It's like, no, now I know what the right path is, because I know what it feels like in my body. And so either this feels good or it doesn't feel good. And now it's I give myself permission. This is my life. So I get to choose what feels good for me today. And so I have a plan, I have a vision of where I'm going, but then every single day I use this soul evolution process to discover what's in most alignment for me today, what's going to bring the most value to my vision today. And my vision isn't just my business. My vision is my entire life, my relationships, my self-care, my adventures, everything. So then I ask, what's going to bring the most value to my vision today? And I do it in that knowing that it doesn't matter what it looks like. People might think I'm crazy. People might not agree. People might not validate me or say I'm not successful, but it doesn't matter to me anymore, because they don't live my life. I live my life. And so I don't care whether you think I'm successful, because I'm the one that has to live it. I created a whole other career in my past life that fit into the box. But inside, no matter how much success I had, there was anxiety, there was misalignment, there was something missing. Like there was just, there was depression, and it looked amazing on the outside. And it was exactly what, society says it should be, but it didn't fulfill me. So now I get to create this career in total alignment, and I get to do whatever my soul calls me for me to do that day, because I know that if my soul's calling it out of me, it's for me. And so when you create that knowing, and then you just discover every single day those breadcrumbs, it's going to lead you to that place. Louise Hay, do you know the author Louise Hay?
Of
She
course.
said she said she just fell into being an author. Like
Right.
she just got this hit and she wrote this one thing that then turned into this, that then turned into this. And so it's like when we get in the way and try and figure out the how, we kill the magic. We just have to listen to our intuition, our gut, our soul, and let it guide us to a place beyond our wildest dreams. We don't have to figure it out. And so that's what I always tell myself. I say, conditioned mind, like take your hands off the steering wheel, because you're going to give me more of the same. You're going to give me more of what exists already, because that's all it knows. I say, this is this journey, this chapter of my life. Now my soul gets to drive. Now I get to surrender to the soul knowing, because so far everything it told me brought me the most incredible magic beyond my wildest dreams. So now I'm going to go imagine what I can do if I go fully into it and surrender and enjoy the ride. And everything that's showing up is just getting better and better and better. And so if you do that, you do the soul evolution process, and then if you need extra support, I'm always here. We guide, we do reprogramming processes. We go on a journey of self-discovery to really light that up and then give you the support to bring it into the world without the wobble, because it's the wobble that slows it down. It's the wobble of the fears, the doubts, the worries, and all of that stuff that slow it down, that make take it longer for it to drop in. But we're already an energetic match for our desires. We were born it. We wouldn't have these desires if it wasn't for us. We all did it as children. We all daydreamed. And that was our soul communicating to us what our potentiality is. And so the only thing getting in the way is our limiting beliefs, our thoughts, our wobbles, our fears, our doubts. And so all we need to do is remove those or override them with our soul knowing, so that we can just let it unfold, let our birthright, what we chose to come here to do, unfold for us. And that's why my programs and all of this, I have voxer support, and that's one of the things that helped me to hold the void, because I have my mentor. So during that week I would have a wobble sometimes, and I would just voxer and do a little bit of coaching, and a lot of times it's just compounding you being able to stay in your void, having like when you're on a team and you have a coach and they're going through the second quarter, and that their first quarter, their first half was so bad, they go into the locker room for the second quarter and then they just get all amped up and they come back and they smash it, right?
Yeah.
That's all we are. It's not that anyone knows more than us or can guide us to anything. It's just we just need that extra oomph sometimes. And when you have that team, you're unstoppable.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't even, you answered every question I ever had about this in your words so eloquently. I really loved it. And it's true. We all need someone at some time to sort of take us from the fork in the road. Do I go this way or that way? The yellow brick road straight ahead, your coach, your wizard telling you, go that way, you got this. It's a coach, it's someone who ramps you up, who sees the divine within you, that sees the potential, the connection that you have to the source. And it's hard for us all the time, and I'm getting there. I mean, I've been a believer in the woo-woo since I was 5, but it takes some time to believe in yourself because of external events or people telling you, or, oh, don't brag about this or don't do that. And it's nice to have someone such as yourself in your back pocket or in your phone with Voxer. If people don't know what Voxer is, it's an app where you can speak to someone. It's different than messaging. So anyway, you can look it up, but it's a great way to communicate. My coach also
Yes.
Voxer. So I'm familiar. Wow. Okay. This is amazing. And one question, what is Millennium Method before we go into where people can find you?
Millennium Method is my quantum physics based modality. So it utilizes fractals to be able to find whatever the blocks are, the weaknesses, to make the unconscious conscious. So a lot of times you'll think that you've shifted all of this, and we'll work on it and we'll be like, oh my gosh, there's this. I use it for children all the time because children can't verbalize what's going on. So when I work on my son and he's going through something, I just work on it. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I can see all these things. Okay, something's going on here. Something might have happened in school. And then we use it and we shift it out. So once we find it, we download the fractals, because each fractal has over 1 million downloads. We download it through your C1 vertebrae, any acupuncture point, pressure point, shift it out instantly. And then we keep working on it till we can clear as much as we can in that one session. But to me, like, that was that NLP, neurological repatterning, and then my activations that I use through hypnosis have been the most powerful modalities. And the combination of them together, it just ignites and activates something that I haven't been able to do with anything else.
Wow. And so this is something you created, you downloaded the Millennium Method.
No, my teacher's,
Oh,
she's
it
she's
is
originally from the UK, but she lives in Canada right now. And so I learned from her, and then I became one of her certified teachers and started teaching it as well.
cool. Okay, asking for a friend. Can you help someone with sleep issues?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Everything is linked to, we just need to, dive deep into where the root cause is. Everything is linked together. And it's so amazing when once you discover, but then you have fun with discovering it. You're like, ooh, this is here. I truly believe any trigger, any ailment, any, thought process or anything is us showing us that there's something that we get to clear, so that we get to just take it out of, we have this bag of rocks that we're carrying around with us every single day. And then something shows up to show us, okay, this is ready to clear. And you're going to get that gut hit where you're like, okay, enough. I'm done with this. So we just get to clear it, take it out of the backpack, so it gets lighter and lighter, and your body literally does get lighter and lighter the more that we do this. Like your body just feels lighter
Mhm.
because you're dumping out all of this stuff. And I'm not saying we're going to go, we don't look for it. We're not like, okay, today, what's wrong with me? We use our triggers, all these things that are showing up in our physical body, the physical symptoms.
Yeah.
And we use those as our guide to say, okay, what's ready to be released next. We can also not wait for those triggers to show up, and we get to be proactive about it. So we could say, okay, what's making me uncomfortable? And how do I get to put myself in that situation so I could see what I'm not seeing? So I could see these patterns that are running that are keeping me stuck so that I could override them to move forward and transmute them.
Ooh, beautiful. I'm gonna do the soul evolution. Is it a meditation? Is it a soul?
Yeah.
We call
So
it a
just
meditation.
DM me and I'll send it to you. And if you have any questions, you can always ask me about it. But you start out doing it for your big vision and then you use it every single day. So I use it at night before I go to sleep, to discover what I want to do the next day, what's going to be bring the most value, what's most in alignment. And then I do it when I wake up in the morning to tune in to see if something shifted. And then sometimes I do it through the day. At first you do the guided meditation with me, but then after you just drop down. You don't even
Yeah.
have to do a meditation. You just drop down, you tune in, boom, that's it, and it just becomes, that's why I can do it whenever I'm like, oh, is this an alignment? Or, is this an
Yeah.
alignment? And you just tune in and you say, what's gonna, and you have to have two options. You just say, which one is going to bring the most value? Because they're both awesome. Both of them will probably work,
Mhm.
but we're not here for just doing things that work. We're here for things that bring the most value. So which one is going to bring the most value, even if it's the one that's the scariest? And then we get to do it because we know we're just following the breadcrumbs. And then all of a sudden, magic shows up.
Oh, so can anybody access that soul evolution? Find
Yep,
you
just
on.
DM me
Okay, so
on
you're
Instagram.
where do people find you?
My Instagram is my favorite because I channel and I bring in whatever messages I feel for the collective, for whatever value I can bring to the world, like your
Mhm.
podcast. I also do have a podcast as well too. And so my Instagram is organic. It's constantly shifting and changing. Whereas my website is stagnant. My website has all the information, but my Instagram is always going to be alive,
Okay.
and shifting and changing with the collective. So just DM me on Instagram. It's Jocelyn Sandstrom. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me as well too. I also do some live Q&As on Instagram. I have a free mastermind for people that want to experience, they're not sure. And so they're not sure, they might be afraid of what it is. So they get a taste of what it's like, the breakthroughs and shifts that we get to co-create together to help it to be this like gateway to this passage of this opening and this activation. It doesn't mean that they have to work with me, but if they're just curious about it and they want to see, my whole goal here and my whole mission is to create an impact, whether it's with me or someone else. If I'm just an activator for you to go somewhere else, that's also part of my journey as well too. And so that's kind of what my free mastermind is. It's like my community, like what I give back for people to take the leap, because a lot of times they're like we're so afraid, there's illusions of taking the leap all the way. So you get to dip your feet in the water and you get to say, okay, let me try this out and let me see if this is for me or not, or whatever you activate in it is going to be the breadcrumb that's going to take you to the next.
And that's to me the gift of a true healer is giving without expecting receiving in return, just giving because you know that your gift is going to light someone up. And you have lit me up today, Jocelyn.
Oh,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Oh,
Thank you.
my
Thank
heart
you.
is soaring. I'm very excited to go, do the soul evolution and possibly work with you as well because, well, I just feel I'm such a self-improvement junkie. I mean, I want to take this class and do that class and work on myself here and work on myself there because don't we all want to live a joy-filled life? I do. And I want to be
Yeah.
around people who live that kind of life. So the
Yeah.
more people who explore and dig deep within themselves and see people such as you or listen to your mastermind, it's just all going to be so positive and uplifting. And I just appreciate your spark and your light
No, I
today. Thank
appreciate
you.
your spark as well too. And it's just like it sounds like your soul is here to play and
Yeah.
it's here to discover all of the different flavors of ice cream. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's all it is. And so it's when we can get into that energy, we realize it's not because we want to be fixed or we're because our life is broken. Our life is amazing. And we get to play. We get to go on this ride. We get to go on this ride. We get to like expand. And it just becomes so much fun.
Well, being a manifest generator, I
Oh, there
am
you
one of
go.
those. Of
Yep.
course, of
Yeah, my
course.
son's a manifesting generator.
Oh my goodness, I am just like this thing and that thing and that. Oh, let me do that now and let me do that now. And it when I learned that that's a human design, I have lots of episodes on that if people are interested. But when I learned that about myself, it gave me permission. I went, oh, okay, well, it's in my design, my human design chart.
It's your gift.
I'm not wacky. I mean, it's just because I have a lot of different interests and I like to try things. Everybody's
Mhm.
unique. Everybody is a beautiful soul, and we all are part of the divinity, and we all have it in ourselves. Okay, I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to put all the information about Jocelyn in the show notes, so you can go out. You can DM her on her Instagram. We'll link that, and you can evolve your own soul to being the most authentic spark that I know is in there, because you people listening are the ones who we're reaching and we need to reach and get your sparks ignited. So thank you, Jocelyn.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor, and I love talking with you.
It was great. Thank you, listeners. I know you were inspired. I know your spark was lit up because mine was. And when mine is, I know yours is. So thanks for sharing this episode, for commenting, rating, all that stuff, so that we can ignite more sparks the world over. And if you are a woman in midlife or beyond and need a little spark ignition, also, I do have my course live, How to Ignite Your Spark for Women in Midlife and Beyond. I just felt called to do it. My soul said, do it. So I did it. So if you want a little special discount through August 15th, or no, through September 15th, I'm think, well, just send me a note, okay? Because I'm not sure when this is going to air, but I'll send you a discount code. So anyway, enough of that. Thank you all for shining. Thank you, Jocelyn. And go out there and ignite someone's spark and your own today. See you next time.